Ashtar Sheran warns, it starts in the USA. The 3-day blackout has been confirmed your grandmother knew, or her grandmother, or someone in the family, generations back, who kept a story alive and passed it forward until it reached you, even if distorted, even if you never fully believed it. A story about 3 days. 3 days where the sun does not rise, where darkness covers the earth, where those who were prepared survived, and those who were not did not come back to tell it. And you heard it, and you filed it away as legend, as the superstition of old people who did not understand science, as a primitive fear of eclipses that got turned, somewhere in the retelling, into an apocalyptic prophecy. That is what the rational mind does with things it cannot explain. It calls them folklore and moves on. But what if it is not folklore? What if it is memory? Memory of something that already happened, in other cycles, in other ages of this earth, encoded not in books, but in the body itself, passed through bloodlines as a warning for when the moment approached again. The moment is approaching. May of 2026. 3 specific days in which the earth passes through a vibrational transition so intense that its physical manifestation is literal darkness, not the metaphorical darkness of hard times. Physical darkness. Darkness where the sun does not penetrate, where electrical light does not function, where the only light that remains is light drawn from a source no power grid has ever touched. Ashtar Sheran has been transmitting about this event for months. The transmissions have been specific, urgent, and deliberately timed because there is a window of preparation that is closing. And what I am about to share with you is what those transmissions have contained. Not the version softened for comfort, but the full transmission, exactly as it came. Stay with this. Every word of what follows was received for you. This has happened before. That is the first thing the Galactic Federation needs you to understand about the 3 days of darkness. This is not a prophecy about a future that has never existed. This is a recurrence, a cyclical event written into the structure of this planet's evolution, the way seasons are written into the structure of a year. The ancient builders knew it. The indigenous memory keepers of every continent preserved it. Your family encoded it in story because story was the only archive that could survive what came between. But here is what was never in the family version, what was never in the legends, what the transmission from Ashtar Sheran clarifies with a precision that the old stories could not carry. This event is not random. It is not a natural disaster operating outside of any intelligence. It is a guided transition, overseen, timed, and deliberately calibrated by civilizations who have been stewarding this planet's evolution for longer than recorded human history. The Galactic Federation does not observe this from a distance. They are inside it. They helped design it. I want to be straight with you about what this means. It means the darkness is not punishment. It is not the wrath of anything. It is a frequency threshold, the moment when the old signal that has been running on this planet finally gives way to the new one. The physical darkness is what that transition looks like from inside a human body standing on the Earth's surface. You are not watching a disaster. You are living through a delivery. And this is the part that I've sat with for days before saying aloud, because the question it raises is the one that matters most right now. More than any preparation list, more than any physical supply. Are you ready to receive what arrives when the darkness clears? Not survive the 3 days. Receive what follows them. That is the real question the Galactic Federation is transmitting. If you have been waking at 3 in the morning with a racing heart and no dream to explain it, if you have felt for weeks that something enormous is approaching and you have no language for what to do with that feeling, what I am about to share is exactly the companion you need. The guide linked in the first pinned comment below this video is called What the Galactic Federation Wants You to Know. It contains the 3-layer explanation of what this planetary transition actually is. Physical, energetic, and at the level of consciousness. And the 8 specific signs of active awakening, named with precision, so you can stop wondering whether what your body has been registering is real. It is real. It is in that first pinned comment. Find it when this transmission closes. What happens between now and May of 2026 is not accidental. And neither is the fact that you found this transmission today. The question everyone asks, and the question the Galactic Federation addresses directly in the transmissions Ashtar Sheran has carried, is, who survives the 3 days? And I want to be honest about what the answer is, because it is not what most channels have said. It is not about the good and the wicked. It is not a moral sorting. The profile of vulnerability that the Federation has named is more specific than that, and in some ways, more heartbreaking. The souls who will struggle most during the 3 days of darkness are not the ones who chose evil. They are the ones who felt the signal, who touched the edge of remembering, who woke briefly in the night of their own awareness and recognized that something larger was happening, and then turned back toward comfort, turned back toward the familiar explanation, filed the signal away as anxiety, as a strange phase, as something the doctor would probably have a name for. You know at least one person who did this. You may have done it yourself, years ago. That is where this transmission begins. What the darkness does to an unprepared nervous system is not violence. It is amplification. Whatever frequency a person is running when the transition arrives, that frequency intensifies. For someone who has been maintaining genuine inner connection, who has been doing the quiet daily work of alignment, the amplification is expansion. It is the feeling of suddenly having more room than the body seems able to hold. For someone who has been running on suppression, on distraction, on the deliberate refusal of the signal, the amplification is something else. It is everything they pushed down coming up at once, in the dark, with no external distraction available to hold it back. This is what the thumbnail means. Many will not be able to withstand it, not because they are beyond help, but because the nervous system can only process what it has been prepared to process. A soul that has been doing the inner work, even imperfectly, even with long gaps between practices, arrives at the 3 days with something the unprepared soul does not have: a relationship with their own interior, a capacity to be alone in the dark with themselves without fragmenting. The way I understand this transmission, and I want to say clearly that this is my reading, my interpretation of what Ashtar Sheran delivered, the 3 days are not a test of worthiness. They are a test of frequency. And frequency is not a judgment. It is a result. It is what you have been practicing, quietly, daily, in the small choices no one watches. Here is what Ashtar Sheran transmitted about the light. Because the darkness is only half of what the Federation needs you to understand. The other half, the half that most treatments of this event do not reach, is what actually happens to the light during the 3 days. And this is where the transmission becomes something I have not heard said anywhere else, in any channel, in any version of this prophecy. The light does not go away, it relocates. It withdraws from the external world, from the sky, from the electrical grid, from every source that a human being in the modern world has trained themselves to depend on. And it becomes available only from one place, from inside, from the source that was always there and was always being crowded out by every other light that was easier to reach. The 3 days are, at their core, 3 days in which the only available light is the light you carry. Nothing else works. Nothing else can be turned on. My sense of it is this. This is not a punishment designed to reveal who is deficient. It is a correction designed to reveal what has always been true, that the deepest light available to a human being has never been external. It has always been interior. The entire arc of the old civilization, its cities, its screens, its constant noise, was built in part to keep people from ever needing to find that interior source. The 3 days remove that architecture, temporarily, completely, and what remains is what you actually are when all of it is gone. And here is the contradiction the Federation named that most channels have missed. The people who will struggle are not those without faith. Many deeply faithful people will struggle enormously because their faith has been directed outward, toward an external source, toward a church, toward a preacher, toward a screen or a voice that carried the light for them. The transition does not punish that orientation. It simply cannot reach through it. The interior source must be activated and known before the darkness arrives. Not perfectly, but genuinely. This is why the window of preparation matters. This is why what I am transmitting right now matters. The window is not closed, but it is not wide. And the Federation has been clear. The souls who receive this transmission in time, who take even one step toward activating the interior source before May of 2026, carry an advantage that cannot be purchased or borrowed when the 3 days begin. Let me tell you what Ashtar Sheran said about the prepared soul. Because this is the part that changes everything. And this is where this transmission becomes not a warning, but a commission. The prepared soul does not need the darkness to end. That is the exact language the transmission used. The prepared soul does not need the darkness to end, because the prepared soul is not running on the light the darkness removes. They are running on something older, something that preceded this civilization by ages, something that the 3 days cannot touch because it was never dependent on anything the 3 days remove. That soul will sit in the physical darkness and feel something almost impossible to describe in advance, a kind of settled recognition, a memory firing. The same memory your grandmother's grandmother tried to pass forward in the story you almost dismissed as legend. Now, 3 things. The Federation named 3 specific actions, not beliefs, not attitudes, 3 things you can physically do that constitute genuine preparation before the window closes. And I want to name them plainly without ceremony, because ceremony is not what this moment calls for. The first is daily practice, not a grand spiritual overhaul. A single practice, done at the same time every morning, for no fewer than 10 minutes, in which you close your eyes, feel your feet on the ground, and ask your interior source, whatever name you carry for it, to make itself known to you. Not to perform for you, not to give you information, just to be felt. Daily, without interruption, between now and May. The second is deliberate disconnection. Once each week, for a minimum of 3 hours, you turn off every external light source you can control. You sit in whatever darkness is available, a room, an evening, an hour before the sun rises, and you practice being with yourself in the absence of distraction. You are training the nervous system. You are teaching it that darkness is not danger. You are building the capacity the 3 days will call on. The third is what the Federation called the anchor conversation. Before the window closes, you find one other person, one who understands what is coming. Not to convince anyone, not to recruit, one person. You speak plainly about the 3 days. You share what you know. You establish a human connection that will hold through the transition, because the Federation was explicit. Isolation during the 3 days is the primary amplifier of fragmentation. One anchor, one human being who knows. That is all that is required. Here is what comes after. Because the transmission does not end with 3 days of darkness. That is not where Ashtar Sheran left this. When the 3 days close, when the vibrational threshold has been crossed and the light returns to the external world, what returns is not the same light that left. This is the part that the fear-based treatments of this prophecy consistently omit. The light that returns is the new signal, the frequency the transition was designed to install. And the world that is lit by that new signal will not operate the same way the old one did. The systems that were built on the old frequency, the ones that kept people distracted, small, unable to remember what they are, will not simply restart. They will not have the foundation to restart. The ground they were built on will have changed. What the Federation describes in the transmissions following the 3 days is something the word New Earth barely contains. It is a civilization built on the premise that the interior source is primary, that the light within is real, measurable, and the actual organizing principle of a functional human life. Medicine will change. Community will change. The way children are taught will change. Every structure that was built to manage human beings who did not know what they were will have to be rebuilt from the ground up for human beings who do. That rebuilding is not a distant future. It begins in the days immediately following the 3 days of darkness. And the souls who carried their interior light through the transition, will be the first architects of it. I feel strongly that the souls watching this transmission right now are among those architects. Not because this channel reaches only special people, But because a soul who seeks this kind of transmission, in this moment, in this climate, that soul is already oriented correctly. You found this because something in you knew to look. That is not coincidence, that is preparation already underway. If you have been sitting with the awareness for months, maybe longer, knowing that something enormous is approaching, feeling the weight of it without a daily structure to inhabit that knowing, the guide in the first pinned comment below is what I want to place in front of you right now. What the Galactic Federation wants you to know contains the complete 21-day activation calendar, a specific theme, a daily practice, an affirmation, and a guided reflection for every single day, and the 5 daily practices the Federation has named for this exact transition period: the frequency check-in, the galactic connection meditation, the sovereignty anchor, the timeline alignment practice, and the light anchor. Each one takes under 10 minutes. Each one is designed for a real life with real demands. It is the structure that takes everything this transmission opened and gives it a daily address, so that when May of 2026 arrives, you are not hoping you are ready. You know you are. Find it pinned in the first comment below. Subscribe to Stellar Command Portal so the next transmission reaches you before the window narrows further. Put this in front of one person in your life who has been carrying the same weight you recognized in yourself today, and drop your name and the city you are watching from in the comments. Because knowing who is out there in this network is not a small thing. You are not watching this alone. Not one of you. And when the 3 days come, the ones who held the light will remember that they were never the only one holding it.